Hey guys, it's Brooke here from the Vintage Gardener. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a very long time since I have done a video, and tonight I'm going to be doing something different, and you'll probably see more videos of this type. I'm going to do a get ready for bed with me video. I've been watching too much TikTok, and anyway, I have not been filming as much gardening content because I have been running a gardening business. But I wanted to keep you guys updated on everything that's going on. So I'm going to be giving you guys an update, doing my face stuff, and kind of talking you through what I do in the evening. I've been wearing a lot of sunscreen because I have gotten into K-beauty, and so I've been doing retinol and vitamin C. And so when you're doing that, you got to wear sunscreen to protect your skin. And so I got to take it off. And so when you're taking things off like sunscreen and whatnot, you need to do a double cleanse. So the first cleanser is going to be an oil cleanser. I'm using Beauty of Joseon's ginseng cleansing oil. So, like I said, it's been a while since I've done a video. And so I guess I should give you guys an update on how the 2025 season went. It was just okay. I did change and start doing larger containers. Like I did everything in a gallon size because one thing I noticed from my first year is that it was hard to keep things alive in smaller containers, especially when it started getting hot. But last year was kind of a weird year because the new administration started. There was a lot of changes that have been made with everything. There was a lot of uncertainty for people. And so in general, people just did not buy a lot. Of ornamental plants. People did like the vegetables that I had. So you may not, if you're just joining me, you may not have seen a prior video, but I was not really, farmers markets are kind of interesting because they do kind of dictate to you what you can and can't bring. And so I was not allowed to bring vegetables because people already had that the first year. But then I decided to do something different, and I went with vegetables because people did ask me my first year whether or not I had them. But what I started doing is I started concentrating on dwarf vegetables. So basically things that could be grown in containers, and that was a big hit. But just overall, I did make less money. Like I said, people were just not into buying a lot of things. People browsed. There was a lot of browsing. People thought I had beautiful stuff, but people were just buying like a plant, here or there. And, it's the gallon containers I had, especially with the annuals, there was 3 plants in it. So it's not like they were, they were paying $15 for one annual. It was usually 3 in the container. But once again, it's just, an economic thing. So this year I changed it up. So with vegetables, I did 2 different things. So things like tomatoes, I did in a 6-pack. I did sampler sets because, when you go to the farmer's market, pretty much everybody seems to have, well, at least in this area, everybody seems to have the regular red tomatoes or brown tomatoes. But I did sampler packs with, 1 red tomato, and then I did some yellow tomatoes. I did white currant, Sarawa, and what was the other one? Oh, and it was an orange one. It was Japanese mandarin. So I'm trying to get with vegetables, I'm trying to get people into thinking about buying vegetables based upon flavor profile. And so when I was going over things with the tomatoes, a lot of people were intrigued, but there were some people who seemed a little bit, I guess, shell-shocked by the choice because I don't think they really ever thought about that tomatoes can taste very different, and that sugar content and sweetness and what you're making with them. Like, so for example, the white currant, and I was like, yeah, if you're going to do like a bacon jam to go on burgers, I would use this. And so some people were just kind of like, oh. So a couple people got overwhelmed with the choice and kind of like, I'll have to think about it, and they never came back. But they just have to get used to it, I think. I also had onion sampler sets, which people typically don't have. I did do some garlic this year. I did Thai Fire Red and Korean Red, and I'm looking for the second step of my program here. My next cleanse is just going to be an exfoliant. This one's by Rencia. It's a mochi cleaner. It has very fine rice particles in it. It's black tea and yuzu. I'm trying to think how many I've used. I got into K-Beauty back in October. I'm trying to think, how many have I used this far? So I know I did a green one, the rose hip one, which I didn't like the smell, the blue one, calendula. So I think this is my fifth container since October of last year. So I really, really like it. Anyway, I probably used too much. I don't know if you guys can see the consistency, but it's pretty sticky. One thing about this is that it's gonna suds up. So just be careful. If I probably used a little too much, and you're gonna see it's gonna take me forever to get all these suds off my face, but you know, sometimes that's the risk you run. But anyway, I did onion samplers, and I did garlic. So yeah, I was telling you guys about the garlic. So it's Thai Fire Red and Korean Red, and people were very intrigued by that. I think next year I'm gonna order a lot more and do that in 6-packs, because I just did it like 1 clove, you know, and people were very interested because they had never seen red garlic. You know, they've only ever seen the white garlic in the stores and even in the garden center. So somebody wanted to know if I was going to have other varieties of garlic. And so I said, well, I was testing it out this year, but literally it went in a flash. I sold pretty much every garlic I had. So I will definitely get, when I order it, I'll order it in like, you know, maybe 3 or 5 pounds, and I'll have more varieties because people are very much interested in sampling them. So maybe I'll do like a sampler pack. Well, I'll have like, if I get 6 different types, like just have 1 of each so people can see which one they like. So I think that'll work. I'm also changing up what I'm doing with the flowers because things at my job are just getting very complicated, and to a certain extent it's eating into my personal time, which I do not like. And so I am going to be using plugs. As a matter of fact, I started using some this year with Farmer Bailey's, and they had a lot of plants that I was planning to start from seed. And for next year's color theme, which I'll announce later this year, they have a lot of plants that I was planning to offer. And so, given my space limitations and that sort of thing, I just need, because I've actually had a lot of crop failure. I gotta be honest with you. And that's normal. I mean, sometimes you just have bad batches, but when you're in business, you still have to have enough. And so I just don't have enough space in my house to start the amount of seeds that I would really need. So ordering plugs is just going to work out a lot better for me, because obviously they've got a larger facility. If I order 128, I know 128 is coming in the door. So anyway, the things that I've ordered from them, I like so far. I've been doing a lot of 6-packs, and people seem to really like it. And so certain things I'm probably not going to start from seed again, even though I'm capable of doing so. Well, for right now. I mean, it'll be different once I get my final farm and I'm doing this full time. But like things like Lisianthus, even eucalyptus, because they have a lot of different types of that. Those are things that I can just I can get from them, and I can get the amount that I need. And I don't have to worry about starting, 6, 8 months in advance to have what I need. Because even with Lisianthus this year, I guess I'm sure the variety, because I used different varieties this year because of the color theme that I was using. I just didn't have as much germination. It was definitely not as successful this year as it has been in the past. So, but once again, I use, which Lisianthus did I use? Because I used varieties I had never used before. And I know that changes everything. So, but like I said, I'll use plugs. So I have some perennial plugs that I got. I'm actually getting some globe thistle. What's the other two things? And eucalyptus and foxglove at the mid-June. So I'm really excited about that. They'll be for next year, but at least I can grow them on. So like with the foxglove, obviously it'll bloom for next year. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get foxglove to pot up now. That'll be blooming sizes for next year, and then order the same type of foxglove, but just get them maybe like in February where there'll still be plugs, so that basically if people buy the gallon size and they buy the 6 packs, they can have a continuous source of flowers, because once they bloom they set seed and die, and they can just kind of have the process repeat. Okay, so now I've double cleansed my face, so now I'm going to do some toner. My toner is, where's my toner? Okay, so I'm using Celamax Dual Barrier Creamy Toner. So I've been really getting into learning about my skin, and so my skin is oily, and oily refers to basically how much sebum your skin produces, but my skin is also dehydrated, and hydration refers to how much water is in the tissues of your skin. And so when you have oily skin, sometimes the stuff that'll take the oil off your face actually dries your skin out, and what ends up happening is that your body overproduces oil to protect your face from losing that hydration. So counterintuitively, making sure when you have oily skin, making sure that your hydration levels are up is what you need to do. And so the thing that I like about the K-Beauty is that, you layer toner, because toner kind of like, when you wash your face, it like changes the pH of your skin, and toner kind of corrects that and preps your skin to absorb the next layer of products. So after I do my toner, and right now I like that black tea scrub, but I can tell there's a little residual on my face because I'm seeing black dots. So I'm trying to get as much off of as I can. But once I do my toner, then I'm going to use what's called Essence. So I'm using, this is ginseng essence water. Ginseng in Korean skincare is for like anti-aging, that sort of thing. And so, I don't have wrinkles or anything. I would like to make sure I don't. I don't want to start, and that's another reason to keep your skin hydrated, because, it's like a raisin. When you start dehydrating, it's like a grape. When you start dehydrating grape, what do you get? You get raisins and wrinkles. So, but I do like the fact that with K-Beauty, it's lots of nice thin layers. Now, one thing I have not done in a while, and I'm gonna do tonight, is I'm going to do a hydration mask. It's been a while. So I've tried a bunch. My favorites are by Skin Food, and what's that other one? J Yoon. J Yoon is the other one. It's the rose mask. So tonight I'm going to do the rice mask. It's fermented rice. For some people that irritates their skin, like my sister, she ends up with fungal acne. For me, it works just fine and I absolutely love it, and I love how my skin feels. So hang on. Okay. First things first, I'm going to put on my eye patches. This is by J June. It's the Roselle T Gel Eye Patches. I think I've been putting them on backwards. I always put like the fat section here and out, but I think I'm supposed to put the skinny side. So I'm going to try that tonight, and let's see how this goes. And then I put the mask right on. I just ripped this thing. I just realized, right on top of this. So last year, one of the things that I did different was I stopped doing markets in July because, you know, when it's that hot, nobody's planting. And so, you know, I wasn't like, at first, like, you know, my first year doing it when I was at Burlington, I thought, oh, this is gonna be nice because I was making, like, my first week there during July, it was like 4th of July weekend. I did pretty good, but then it just like steadily declined, you know, as it progressed, and then it was because it was just too hot. So I learned my lesson and I haven't done that again. And so, and the other thing I learned is that special days don't necessarily translate to sales for me. So I am doing a special day. I'm going to be doing the they have a root day that's coming, that's like in October. And so I'm hoping, I'll see, but I'm hoping to have some of the garlic bulbs because I can maybe go ahead and have some started. Over the summer, I'm planning to do some like carrots in deep containers to sell. So for example, for root day, like, you know, the carrots will be mostly finished. So if you want to have like fresh carrots for Thanksgiving, that'll be perfect for that. So yeah, so anyway, y'all, I don't have a stopwatch. Dang it. I want to leave this on for like at least, I usually do like 30 minutes. So let me pause this and see where we are. Okay. So I'm just going to watch the clock. Yeah, so that's what I'm planning to do. I did try some spring planters this year, like tablescapes for Easter, and none of them sold. It was, I don't know. People thought that they were beautiful, but like nobody was interested. I don't know. People didn't buy them. You know, I don't know. I'm not really sure. You know, I go to a lot of garden centers and that sort of thing. And so, you know, maybe, and you know, the thing is, I know sometimes with tablescapes and things like Easter, people tend to buy those probably like the week of Easter. And the market that I did, it was, I can't remember when Easter was in relationship to that market. I don't think Easter, like Easter, if Easter had been, like the market was on Saturday, if Easter had been the next day, I think maybe somebody would have bought it, but they had an additional week. So in the week, the Saturday before Easter, there was no market. And I think probably that's when most people would have bought that. So, you know, I'm at a farmer's market, so I gotta, I'm there when they're there. But obviously, once I actually get my own place, it'll probably be, it'll be that something like that will be easier. This is my mini mini booster. It's by Medicube. It helps push the essence and stuff in your pores. Do not use it with actives like vitamin C. I made a mistake with something that had vitamin C and did it. It'll irritate your skin because vitamin C should not be pushed deep into your skin. The other thing is if you're using things like hyaluronic acid or anything, if it's saying low molecular, basically those are smaller particles to like penetrate your skin. Once again, this can push it too deep. And irritate your skin. So just keep that in mind. You're not supposed to use this more than like 5 minutes at a clip. The red light is for pushing stuff into your skin. And then there is a blue light function, and that is if you have acne. I have used it on acne, and I've always had issues with acne. It works. There are, and the thing is, I also have different types of acne. I have like normal kind, then I have like some that are like cystic, that are more difficult to address. But like when I have the more, I guess you would say, normal forms of acne, like I would use this, and like the next day it was gone. And granted, I would sometimes use the acne patches as well. And so, but I've used this by itself and had it gone away. But like when I have things that are more cystic, I'll do this, and then I'll use like an acne patch, and it would be dramatically different. But anyway, tonight I'm just doing it regular. And so there's different, because it kind of like pulses against your skin. I'm using it, if you're going to do it under your eyes, just do it at a low level. Don't do it like, and when I say low level, like do it on one. I've inadvertently done it on higher levels. Level 2. And I ended up with, my cheekbones were kind of sore because, like, once again, it's kind of like tapping against your skin like that very quickly. Now granted, because I have on a mask and I also have on a patch, that definitely, I would say, protects it more. But if you're just doing it on your skin raw, just, be careful. And it chimes out like when you've been doing it for a minute.
1 minute passed.
As you can probably hear it now. So anyway, guys, I'm still, learning my market, trying to create a market. Because, the thing for me is I like having specialty plants. And, people are noticing that I have things that are more unusual and that they've never seen those things before. And some people are curious and will try it, and other people are just kind of leery. I think some people definitely want to see it in bloom before they purchase it. Which can be okay with most things, not the peonies though, because the peonies, you usually have to, grow those a couple of years. That's the other thing. Another thing that's been interesting is the weather. The first year I did it, we had really, I would say, more of a traditional, typical season where things kind of warmed up gradually. Over the past this year and last year, it's not been like that. And so because we've just had, in my opinion, just some odd, really weird weather with it being cold and rainy, that affects people buying, and when you're only selling on the weekends and that's the only time available for people to purchase your stuff, that's a disadvantage. Once again, certain things I'm experiencing now, I know that when I have a farm with, a setup where people can come, any day during the week, like Monday through, or maybe Tuesday through, Saturday, if it's nice during the week, especially like, for example, if I do like on Saturday, or like a Friday evening when it's really nice, have like a late, extended hours, I won't have an issue, people will be more likely to buy, and just, even if they don't come on Saturday, they're going to come, on Friday. So, and that's what, it's also a different crowd because people who go to a garden center are going to purchase. And, I know me, like sometimes with cooler weather, I'll still go to the garden center, and some of the diehards typically do, but that's not necessarily the group that you're getting at a farmer's market. So it's just, I'm conscious of the fact that I need to, adjust my strategy for the farmer's market, but I know that once I actually open my own spot, it may not necessarily be that way. But it has been difficult because with the weather being cooler, people aren't, they're not like getting to their cleaning. I'm just putting extra essence on this. They're not cleaning their beds out earlier. And, one thing I noticed is like, sometimes by the time people were ready to actually start planting things, it was like July and it was too hot, and then they only bought a couple things because it was just too hot to plant. And so it was just one of those things where I'm just like, oh goodness. The weather was just not in my favor last year, and to a certain extent, this year, though I think in April, when I looked at my numbers, I did a little bit better this April than I did last April. So yeah. But this May, I think this May is going to be lower than it was last year. This year, I also got some more space in Pennsylvania. My first Pennsylvania date, it was during the opening market. And it's not that I did bad, it's just that it was really cold that day. To the point that, like, I really wish I had worn warmer clothes. Like, that's how cold it was. It was in the 40s. A lot of people, like, I had been to that market on opening day, and so I know how it typically was. And so I knew what I was seeing was not normal. And it was just cold. It was just cold. It was in the 40s. Like, I had hand warmers. It was just like everybody was wearing, like coats and, sweatshirts and coats. So it was a very chilly day. So a lot of people didn't come out. I'm trying to think anything else that just happened. That's pretty much it. So, I'm just trucking along. Like I said, I'm still figuring it out. And I know that over time, cause I'm really having to I'm having to do a lot of education. I have had this year more so than last year, I've had people who've made comments about the peonies that I have and the prices that I'm selling them at. And there have been a lot of people, both in New Jersey and even Pennsylvania, which I'm a little bit surprised by, because with the place where I'm selling in Pennsylvania, there is an independent garden center, like not even a quarter mile away. Like I could walk from the market to this garden center, and I know that they have more unusual peonies. And so there's definitely a lack of knowledge of how special peonies can be. Like they're used to seeing the Sarah Bernhardts, like the Carl Rosenfelds. And so the fact that there are some that are so unique, and obviously that comes with a price tag, people were just like, I didn't know peonies look like that way. So there's this one older lady in Pennsylvania. She bought one peony, but then when she was asking about the green and white halo, so I was explaining to her about that and the scent and that sort of thing. And she looked at me, she was like, do you take charge card? And I was like, yeah, I do. And she was okay. And she got it because she's like, I've never seen a green peony. She was, this is something unique, and she wanted in her garden. And so, with the peonies, especially when they start blooming and when people see the types of blooms that are on them, that definitely gets people into like, oh, I'm gonna buy it. Like, so for example, this year with the tree peonies, like I had the pink tree peonies last year. Nobody got any. This year they bloomed, and like I sold like I sold a bunch of them. The whole thing was just so odd. But I think over time, and I think especially next year, because next year the ones I'm planning to get are very, very, very different. And I found some sources so I can get some that are going to be more, like 30 some dollars, and then there's some that are going to be, more expensive. But I think, when people see the shapes and that sort of thing, I think they're going to be really into it. But yeah, so it's been a lot of education for people. And so I think it's just going to take time. So I am glad that I started this business now rather than waiting till I got a farm and then trying it then, because basically I would have, at least now the way I look at it is that if people in Pennsylvania and New Jersey are following me, seeing what I have, and then they know I have a spot, they'll be likely to follow me to that spot. Because right now, as it is, people are saying, oh, hey, do you actually have a farm that I can come visit? Because, they want to see the other stuff. They maybe they didn't have time to shop that day. So I know it's of definite interest for people. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off now. You don't want to wait till this is really dry on your face, because basically the way my sister explained it is that if it dries on your face, then it's going to start pulling moisture out of your face, which kind of defeats the purpose of wearing the mask. So now I'm going to dry this down, because tonight I'm going to be doing retinol. And with retinol, you have to make sure your face is dry. With retinol, if you apply it and your skin is damp, you run the risk of your skin will over absorb it and it causes irritation. So yeah, that's another thing. I've been doing retinol. I've definitely seen an improvement in my skin. With retinol, please, for the love of God, do not start with 1%. I used Haru Wonders Night. It's got 0.08% retinol. It's for beginners. That's where you need to start, because you do have to build up to it. And when I say build up to it, I mean, like, for 2 weeks, you only need to use it once a week. Then you can increase to 2 times a week for 2 weeks. Like, basically, before you go to the next, like, you increment like adding an additional day per week. You need to make sure you're not having any irritation or dryness or flaking. Retinol, like vitamin C, it makes sure it gives cell turnover. So you're going to be shedding skin, I think, at a little bit more accelerated rate, and it can cause dryness. So they recommend that you do what's called the sandwich method. And so you're going to put on a moisturizer, then the retinol, and then more moisture on top of it. But before I put my moisture on, I'm going to put a serum on. This is by Arencia. It is just the Deep Water Surge. It's just for moisture. With retinol, sometimes, like, I found, especially when I was getting used to it, that sometimes my skin felt a little bit itchy. You may need to reapply moisture products, because I found, like, my skin just got really, really thirsty. But it's just something to keep in mind. When you do retinol, only use it at night. If you use it during the day, when it's, sun, it'll literally burn your face and it'll make your skin slow off. Don't do that. Also, don't combine it with things like vitamin C, salicylic acid, what's this one T1 called? It's called tranexamic acid. So nothing active. Things like what is it? Hyaluronic acid. It's not really an acid. That's for moisture. Things like that. It's okay, but nothing, like I said, not a true active. So now that I got on my face, I'm gonna once again do my little fan. Another thing I find that's helpful with retinol is aloe. Sometimes once I get once your face starts getting used to it, I don't necessarily have to use a lotion at first. I will just put this on and then put the retinol in it, and then follow it with the moisturizer, and it'll be fine. But I went through my Haru Haru Wonder 0.08, and so now I'm upping the dose, and so now I'm going to retinol 0.1, so that's 0.02 more than what I was doing. It's by CosRx. And so it's Super E and Panthenol, which is supposed to add moisture. So I have to almost to a certain extent restart the process again. So that is why I'm doing lotion. If my skin starts feeling irritated, like, after later tonight, or even, and definitely tomorrow, I will definitely be using the aloe. But for tonight, I am going to be using my cream by Skin 1004. It's the Centella cream. It's just a regular cream. They have one that is like blue Hydra or something like that. That's supposed to be really moisturizing. If play around with it. That's the thing with all the skincare, is that you got to figure out what works for you, and this is what works for me. This is just their base cream, which just seems to be works just fine for me. But if you need something heavier, you need something heavier. So, or like using this as my typical cream for me wasn't hydrating enough. There's things that I found that worked better. But for Sandwich Method, I found that it works well. And so I'm putting it on my neck because I will be putting retinol on my neck because, I don't want my neck sagging either. So for retinol, you're going to, hold on, let me just make sure my face is nice and dry. I'm going to use a pea-size amount. That is it, a pea-size amount. Do not use more than a pea-size amount. A little goes a long way. And then tomorrow morning, I'll do another video showing what I do the morning after retinol, because I personally have to wash my face at least twice a day. During the summer, especially if I'm outside working and I'm, putting on sunscreen or reapplying it, a lot of times I will have to wash my face a third time a day. If not, I find it clogs my pores and then I start getting acne. Okay, so I'm gonna do pea-size amount of this, which is right there. And this is gonna go on my face and on my neck. Don't get it on your eye area. Actually, I have a specific retinol for my eye area that I should have put on first. I typically do that first, but I have an eye cream, so I'll do that one second since I messed up. One thing to keep in mind with retinol is that sometimes you may do what's called purging. And so, especially and it's not just with retinol, it's pretty much like with when you start using like any active. This is by Marianne May. It's, oh shoot. Let me wipe this off. Okay. Because remember when I said you don't want to make sure you don't have any actives? Yeah. I didn't realize that had an active in it. Okay, so I have another eye cream that I use at night. Well, I don't even know why I grabbed that one instead. But anywho, that could have been bad. Okay, here we go. This one is by Puking Yule. It is the Black Tea Time Reverse. Puking Yule makes a lot of products for sensitive skin, so if you have that issue, definitely one to use. Okay, and I'm using an eye retinol cream by Beauty of Joseon. Now, this is called Retinal. So there's, with the retinoids, there's retinol with an O, retinal with an A, and then the highest step is tretinoin, which you need a prescription to get. Retinal with an A works faster than retinol, but once again, you still got to build up to it. It's considered to be stronger because like basically when you have retinol with an O, your body has to take steps to convert it to retinol, and I think then to the next step, which is tretinoin, I think. So starting up at retinol is a lot stronger, so you just have to be careful. So anywho, now I got that on my face. So once again, I'm gonna dry this down. Okay, and so now that I've done that, I am going to use, what did I get on my shirt? I'm going to use some Skin Barrier Moisturizing Cream by CosRX. With retinol, if you ever notice that your skin is itching a lot, if it's burning, that means you've compromised your skin barrier. So you are going to need to take a break from retinol, like for 2 weeks, and make sure go gentle on your skin and make sure you are hydrating, and then using something like a barrier cream, which is what I'm using to help repair that issue. So anyway, that is all she wrote. So anyway, I'm just trying to be patient with myself, with my business, because I know, especially with what, I'm looking to do, it's just going to take a while to build up to where I want it to be. And, eventually I'll get there. I'm definitely going to be looking for more opportunities to teach classes. I'm going to actually, there may be an opportunity at the Agricultural Center. I'm going to look into that. And I'll go from there. But, I'm trying not to be discouraged. I think, because with my first year, I think I probably just I think it was just a combination of things. It was, the weather, the economy was better. The other thing is I also did paid for a lot more advertisements, which I have not. I've been doing it because for a while with the way Facebook changed the algorithm, I felt like it wasn't reaching people. So, but I'm on TikTok now, so I'm going to be trying to use social media more and paying, and doing ads that way, and see if it makes any difference. But, I definitely need to start putting myself out there a little bit more in terms of, paid advertisements. But slow and steady wins the race, right? So anyway, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow morning. I'm going to upload this as 2 videos because this one's long. It's 46 minutes. If you guys have any questions about the business, put it down. I'm not really going to be editing this because, quite frankly, that's the reason I'm not posting videos, is because I just don't have time to edit. So I apologize for the roughness of the cut, so to speak. So tomorrow morning when I do my morning routine, I'm going to tell you about some of reviews of some plants that I received, and just gardening gossip. So anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow morning.